is JS Party, your weekly celebration of JavaScript and the web. Check us out on the web at jsparty.fm. There you'll find lists of our recommended and popular episodes, clips, aka JS Party, the good parts, and a request form so you can let us know what you want to hear about on the pod. Big thanks to our partners at Fly.io. Over 3 million apps have launched on Fly. Deploy yours in 5 minutes. Learn how at Fly.io. Okay, hey, it's party time, y'all. Hello world, it's your internet friends here with another JS Party. Nick Nisi is in the house. What's up, Nick?
Ahoy, hoy.
Hoy, hoy to you. How's life? How's everything?
It's a whirlwind of delight.
Oh, I thought you were going to go for ghoulish overkill again, like you did last episode. But a whirlwind of delight sounds better than ghoulish overkill. Chris Hiller is also here. Bone Skull, how are you doing?
All right. Hope everybody's having a nice weekday, whatever weekday it is.
Well, whatever weekday it is where you're listening, we hope it's good. Where we are recording, it's Friday, which tends to be, of all the weekdays, one of the best, doesn't it?
Definitely top 3.
Yes, for sure top 5. I would hazard to say top 3 as well. Well, we have a fun docket today. We're going to talk some news. We're going to play a song, and we're going to discuss Node.js, because that's what we do around here on the JavaScript and Web Dev Party show that you're listening to. Starting right away with RSpec, the next generation. You know, Star Trek was a pretty good show, but TNG was a great show, especially if you skip season 1 and go straight to season 2, where they really caught their stride and figured it out. Nick, response? You open your mouth.
I was shocked that you said that, and then I just remember trying to start TNG and season 1, like the Q episode, whatever the first one. I fell asleep 4 times.
It's so bad.
What podcast am I on right now? What do you guys? Why?
Star Trek, the next
What
generation.
does that have to do with anything?
Because I just said we're talking about RSpec, the next generation JavaScript bundler. And I was making a pop culture reference to Star Trek, the next generation.
Oh.
Have you seen that show, Chris?
Yes.
Do you like TNG? How do you feel about season 1?
I don't know.
The worst season, I would hazard, even though I don't remember.
Last time I watched it was when it was on TV. Okay.
Oh, wow.
That's when I watched it too, and then I tried to go back, and I thought, as I tried to do with Seinfeld, start at season 1, episode 1, and it's like, yeah, you can skip season 1 of Seinfeld also. You know, it takes a little while for these shows to really like find themselves and catch their stride. And I just feel like, as a public service announcement, I'm just telling folks, skip season 1, start at season 2. You're going to enjoy that. The next generation, RSpec, a JavaScript bundler written in, can you guys guess which language this is going to be written in? It's a next generation.
Ruby.
That would be last generation. That would be the original Star Trek.
Oh, I thought it was RSpec. Sorry.
No, RSpec, S-P-A-C-A. That's a good guess, though. It's not Deep Space Nine. It's not Voyager. It's written in Rust. Come on, guys. You could have guessed that, right?
Written 1 too.
All next generation JavaScript build tools are written in Rust, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to.
It's pretty much what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, though?
I mean, I think if you want GitHub stars, you absolutely have to.
If you want to be next generation, you have to write it in Rust.
Yeah.
But I guess. But aren't things just fast enough?
No.
Apparently not, because the RSpec team didn't think so. They have written this bundler in Rust. It's compatible with the Webpack API and ecosystem, and it is 10 times faster than Webpack. Dun, dun, dun. Neither of you guys care, do you? Chris is like, I haven't used Webpack in years.
I know of Webpack.
Okay. And Nick's like, I just use TypeScript all the time.
I just, I'm excited, and I don't want to, like, I'm excited. Like, it's awesome. It's awesome that it's rewritten in that, but if we start seeing Webpack configs pop up again, like, What is this all for?
I still have a Webpack config. I'm excited because I still have a Webpack config.
You got to move to Vite, baby.
Yeah, you're on the Vite train. I just didn't want to rewrite anything. Like I didn't want to touch my config. So I just continue to use Webpack. And it builds everything in about 3 seconds perhaps. But I'm thinking like 300 milliseconds. That would be 10x faster, wouldn't it?
What are you going to do with those 2.7 seconds?
You know how many times that it compounds, Nick. It compounds. I mean, before long, it's going to be an entire minute of savings.
Well, it may not be that exciting to us.
Right.
But there are a ton of people still using Webpack, which, I can't speak to how much of a drop-in replacement it is. I can't imagine it would. Maybe it just works, but, certainly if you can speed things up and you don't have to go in there and change a bunch of stuff, well, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Good news.
Yeah, that is a good point. Like I was totally not thinking of it from that point. I was totally thinking like, oh, here comes the return of 400-line config files.
But you think they've gone somewhere? No, they're still around.
Yeah, if you still have those around, then you just get these benefits for free. Yeah, that's great, actually.
So this is pitched as a tool for enterprises, and many have been using this. So this is built by the ByteDance team of TikTok fame, right? Isn't ByteDance TikTok?
Yes.
Yes. And so it's used at TikTok. It's also used at places like Microsoft, Amazon, Intuit, Discord, and others. So lots of big Webpack configs probably floating around those organizations. And yeah, like you said, if you can just not have to rewrite anything and take your 3-second compilation down to 300 milliseconds, why not? But even better, take your 13-second one down to 1.3 seconds. If I'm doing my divisions by 10 accurately, that's a pretty good win for relatively free, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, congrats on the RSpec team for hitting their 1.0. And hopefully, if you didn't hear about it before and you have a big, fat, slow Webpack config in your life, you can make it a big, fat, fast Webpack config with RSpec. Moving on to our favorite server-side runtime, Node.js. Have you heard of it? Yes, you have. How about TypeScript? Have you heard of it?
Oh, yeah.
Node and TypeScript are like good friends now. They've tightened their relationship. We talked about it last time. Nick was all in a tizzy about it. He called an emergency pod over this because Node added support for stripping the TypeScript types, which means you can write TypeScript and it will ignore it and just run it like JavaScript, right? Which is a step without a build step. And as of Node version 22.7, which I think is probably the release right after 21, if incrementing things works the way it used to, there's another new flag. It's called experimental, not strip types, transform types. And what does this do? Well, nobody knows. No, just kidding. It's possible now to enable this transformation of TypeScript-only syntax into JavaScript code, which allows support for TypeScript features such as enum, or enum if you will, and namespace. So I assume there's something about these, Nick, that they can't get stripped, or?
Yeah, those are two. Well, enum specifically is like the way that it writes it. It's creating this like complex looking object in TypeScript.
Okay.
To emulate that, so that you can still have like the enum like calling of that enum everywhere, like direction.north or whatever, and it'll be an object called direction that has a north property on it that then has a string or whatever value for it. This will transform it. If it works like TypeScript, it'll just transform it into that object, which is great.
So it's the kind of thing you couldn't strip because it's useful code. Like you're going to be using that. I'm trying to understand why you transform it instead of just strip it, because it's not a type.
Enum is special in that it's not. It can't be stripped because it actually it compiles down to
a JavaScript object.
A JavaScript object.
Yeah.
I see.
There's const-enum that is stripped.
What's const-enum do?
That would, like, if you had a value, it'll just replace it at compile time with whatever the value is.
I see.
Likewise, I think namespace is another. I assume they just treat it like an object, like a object create null type object, and you just throw properties in there. But that also would need to be compiled down. You cannot strip a namespace.
Fair. So if this was a two-phase adoption of TypeScript support, phase one would have been, well, let's strip all the types we can just strip. And now phase two would be, there's a few edge cases or things that you can't strip because they have to be actually included in the compiled product. And so now let's go ahead and add support for transforming them into JavaScript at build time, or at node, not build time, but node run time. And now that's there. So no emergency pod for this one, but he's still smiling. He's still grinning because it further deepens TypeScript support in Node.
However, this is an experimental flag, which means don't rely on it because it may go away.
Oh, I thought it just meant it's going to be normal later.
No, that is not what experimental means. A lot of things, most things that are experimental become stable,
Right.
But some things go bye-bye. So you need to be careful if you want to rely on experimental flags.
I'm also kind of part of team don't ever use these features in TypeScript.
The enum namespace? Or
Yeah.
Okay, why is that?
I don't like that enums specifically they're like opaque, right? So you have to, if I want to use a string value, a literal, like a string literal union is better than me having to also import this object to set the same string value, essentially. I'm just lazy.
So you're against enum as a feature in general, not as a TypeScript feature.
As a list of hard-coded strings, I would rather just have a
list of hard-coded strings.
Yeah. I don't think that you get the type benefit, any additional type benefit from that. Maybe you get some refactoring benefit, but it's not that much.
Okay. And Chris, you were in agreement with Nick's premise. Is it for the same reason?
Yeah, I mean, I don't use them. If I want to refer to something by a variable name, like I will make an object and call it const and import that and just use the, foo.bar or whatever I want to use. Yeah, and then, you can extract a type from that easily, like type of he of, and then there you go.
Okay.
You're all set.
And namespace, similar logic?
Yeah, namespace used to be module. Like that's
Yeah.
before modules were a thing in JavaScript. It was module, and then they renamed it to namespace, and I never used it once.
They're basically not needed anymore. ESM and the whole module system essentially just supersedes it. But certainly there's probably some old TypeScript code that's using namespace.
I think TypeScript itself used it for a long time. I think they might have switched away from it, though.
But it's as far as I understand that, or maybe enum is regretted. Like, we probably shouldn't have done that. But namespace was kind of, well, we need something, so we're going to have to do this. And it's just kind of a vestige at this point.
Gotcha.
Okay, friends, I'm here in the breaks with Annie Sexton over at Fly. Annie, we use Fly here at Changelog. We love Fly. It is such an awesome platform, and we love building on it. But for those who don't know much about Fly, what's special about building on Fly?
Fly gives you a lot of flexibility, on multiple fronts. And on top of that, you get, so I've talked a lot about the networking, and that's obviously one thing, but there's various data stores that we partner with that are really easy to use. Actually, one of my favorite partners is Tigris. I can't say enough good things about them when it comes to object storage. I never in my life thought I would have so many opinions about object storage, but I do now. Tigris is a partner of Fly, and it's S3 compatible object storage that basically seems like it's a CDN, but is not. It's basically object storage that's globally distributed without needing to actually set up a CDN at all. It's like automatically distributed around the world. And it's also incredibly easy to use and set up. Like creating a bucket is literally one command. So it's partners like that that I think are this sort of extra icing on top of Fly that really makes it sort of the platform that has everything that you need.
So we use Tigress here at Changelog. Are they built on top of Fly? Is this one of those examples of being able to build on Fly?
Yeah, so Tigress is built on top of Fly's infrastructure, and that's what allows it to be globally distributed. I do have a video on this, but basically the way it works is whenever, like let's say a user uploads an asset to a particular bucket, well, that gets uploaded directly to the region closest to the user. Whereas with a CDN, there's sort of like a centralized place where assets need to get copied to, and then eventually they get sort of trickled out to all of the different global locations. Whereas with Tigress, the moment you upload something, it's available in that region instantly. And then it's eventually cached in all the other regions as well as it's requested. In fact, with Tigress, you don't even have to select which regions things are stored in. You just get these regions for free. And then on top of that, it is so much easier to work with. I feel like the way they manage permissions, the way they handle bucket creation, making things public or private is just so much simpler than other solutions. And the good news is that you don't actually need to change your code if you're already using S3. It's S3 compatible, so like whatever SDK you're using is probably just fine. And all you got to do is update the credentials. So it's super easy.
Very cool. Thanks, Annie. So Fly has everything you need. Over 3 million applications, including ours, here at Changelog. Multiple applications have launched on Fly. Boosted by global Anycast load balancing, zero configuration private networking, hardware isolation, instant WireGuard VPN connections, push button deployments that scale to thousands of instances. It's all there for you right now. Deploy your app in 5 minutes. Go to fly.io. Again, fly.io.
IEEE Spectrum, which I believe is a website and used to be a publication. It might even still be kind of a magazine from IEEE.
A journal?
A journal, if you will, yes. Has published on the 22nd of August the top programming languages of 2024. And Python wins. So, surprise, surprise. What does that have to do with JS Party? Well, Java, second place. We're halfway there. We're halfway to JavaScript. Third place, JavaScript with 0.4451. That would be, I guess, 44% of respondents, I suppose. I haven't gone deep on this data set. But then what's interesting is C++ comes in fourth, which, fine. It's just been there forever. And then fifth, are you ready for it? TypeScript. This is why I pulled this story in, because, hey, we're getting screwed, people. I mean, we should be higher up the list. I mean, TypeScript and JavaScript, it's all the same thing, isn't it, Nick?
I was going to say, if you just add those two together, then it's like 0.6 something.
That's what I'm saying. We could be number, well, I guess, not number one. We could be number two. We could beat Java, which, honestly, we're beating Java. Aren't we beating Java?
Are we on 3 billion devices? Probably.
I would think so.
Anywhere that Java's running, there's a web browser, right?
That's a large assumption that I can't exactly process. I'm like, is that right? I don't know. There's a lot of caveats in there, perhaps.
So, clicking through this horrible website, I've found the methodology, and it looks kind of skewed towards academia, just for what it's worth.
Well, it is IEEE Spectrum, so that would make some sense, because their audience is more formalized and academic.
Some major proportion of the very few sources that they use are in academia. So,
rounding out the top 10, you have SQL.
Not a language.
It's a language. The L stands for language. But is it a programming language? Is SQL Turing complete? It probably is. Is it a programming language? It's kind of not. It's a declarative query language, but whatever. Followed by C#, Go, good old-fashioned C, and then, hey, HTML, baby. It's official. HTML is a programming language. Even the academics will confess it.
I won't argue with that. I will with SQL. My wife has to do SQL for her job.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, oh, you should learn more programming. And she's like, no, I hate it because I hate SQL. And I'm like, don't base it on SQL.
Right. Have you introduced her to Llama 3.1?
No.
Because I don't really write SQL anymore. I write plain English SQL that gets turned into actual SQL. And that's been pretty nice. That's been a life improvement for me. I mean, that's what LLMs have done in my life is like, you now copy paste SQL, you know, you don't actually author it directly, which has been an improvement because I use it all the time, but just, you know, is it an inner join? Is it a left outer join? How do I, you know, like, gosh, who has time for that? Not me, but I do have time to say, here's what I'm looking at. And then I get a query that's close enough and then you can tweak it from there. So maybe she would benefit from that.
Hey, Jerod, aren't you an Elixir guy?
Yes.
It's 35th.
Ouch. Well, you know, that's academia. They don't know what they're doing. Just kidding.
It's beaten out by assembly.
More people write in raw assembly than they're writing Elixir? Ah, that's kind of embarrassing. Well,
I'm sorry.
oh, gosh. Yeah, well, it's not the most popular language, but that doesn't make it bad.
What's ABAP?
Sounds like an acronym.
Does anybody know what that is? What is
ABAP?
ABAP.
I've never heard of that in my life. And I've heard almost every tech acronym there is.
Advanced Business Application Programming, according to Claude.
Okay, this looks like a SAP thing.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this survey is invalid. I think you've proven it.
I mean, you know, if people do this for a living, then I think it counts.
Yeah, it helps put food on the table.
You know, I had my first encounter with Django a few months ago.
Oh, really?
Which was my first encounter with Python for the most part, aside from some Arduino, like simple Arduino stuff. And I was like trying to get it running and upgrade things. And I'm like, how the heck are dependencies managed in this? Do you know where they put dependencies in Python?
Requirements.txt?
Requirements.txt.
Yes.
I felt like I was blown away. I'm like,
You're so disappointed.
Yeah.
Don't you like text files, Nick?
I mean,
you know, JSON files are just text files with a different file extension.
No, but my editor knows how to syntax highlight a JSON file.
I bet it knows how to do a requirements.txt too.
Not mine.
Okay. Well, you got to install the Python extension or something. The syntax. Yeah, I always thought that was, what's the word? I don't know, rudimentary, or it's probably from the late 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, that's been around forever, yeah.
Yeah. That's how Chris and I both knew it.
And every year somebody comes up with a new way to do package management in Python.
Yes. I've had lots of conversations about package management in Python. And I've been told by Brett Cannon, who's our closest friend who does Python, he used to be on the steering council or whatever, that pipx is the way to go. So after he told me that, I just quit wondering what to do. And like, I use pipx all the time, not because it's best, but because Brett Cannon told me it's the way to go. So that was just good for me.
Wait, what's pipx?
He didn't tell me that part. pipx is a version, a package installer like pip, which is a Python package installer that you probably know of. Only it installs everything locally, and so it's all siloed and stuff, and not like system wide. And so it's a nice way of just like, because a lot of times when you're installing Python stuff, you're not really writing Python. I mean, I'm just like, I want to use this tool that happens to be written in Python. And so I want to install it on my system, but I don't want to like screw up whatever Apple's doing with Python on my system. I just feel like if you install it the pip way, you're just like blowing your user local away, or you're just like, I don't know, I'm going to break something that Apple doesn't want me to break. But pipx is like, put it all in your own little, I think it's your home directory or something, you know?
Let Homebrew deal with it. If you just need to use like a Python script.
A lot of Python scripts you can't just brew install.
If they're good, you should be able to. It's
right.
like the brew install Python dash whatever it is. And
Brew install Python dash?
No. That's the name. The name of the package will just start with Python.
Gotcha. I will go on record to say that probably 5 tools that I've tried to install this year, mostly around trying to use language models and Whisper and stuff like this for transcriptions, have not had brew install. They've all just been like pip install. And I get nervous. And
Wild West.
Yeah. Well, the Python's packaging story has never been solid. Hence requirements.txt. Good language though, Nick. Did you enjoy your time with white space significance?
Oh, why would anybody do that? Give me those sweet curly braces, the sweet embrace.
It's cleaner, dude. You just indent. You're going to indent anyways.
I know.
Why not just make the indent matter? It's a good question.
My eyes just don't scan after using curly braces for every other year of my life, my programming years.
Don't you use tabs though?
I don't even know anymore.
Personally, don't you use tabs over spaces?
Whatever Prettier changes it to. I don't even care anymore.
Okay. Well, the reason I asked that is because you can make those tabs real big.
Yeah.
And then that indentation is real significant.
I actually used to show significant white space, in my, I'd had invisible characters displayed for tabs and spaces and all that.
Sure.
And after just becoming so comfortable with Prettier, just rewriting everything, I was like, why do I even care? Why do I need to see this anymore? Because if I accidentally type a tab, it's going to go away as soon as I save. So
sure. I think that's fair.
But not in Python, not in YAML, not in Lua, etc., etc., etc.
Lua is a language that I really like that I guess doesn't have curly braces as much.
Dude, Lua is indexed by 1.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time even just even giving it at the time of day.
But
I mean, who indexes their arrays by 1? Literally just Lua.
When in today's world where I'm not you're way less inclined in any other language to write a for loop. I would say. Would you agree?
In what language?
No, in any language.
To write a for loop?
Wouldn't you use a for each method or some other iterator method or
Have you ever written Go? It's all for loops. Go's entirely for loops.
Mm-hmm.
They have no other iteration techniques.
Well, that's why I haven't written Go.
I use for loops in Elixir. There's all kinds of iterators, but every once in a while, the for loop is actually pretty functional. But you don't actually have index references there either, so you can if you want them.
Yeah.
But it's a different kind of for loop. It's not like a zero index for loop. C++. I mean, come on, man. Aren't you polyglot? You ever written anything besides TypeScript?
I'm writing PHP now. But my point is
Zero indexed.
Yeah, but my point is I don't care about the zero index. I never am
you don't do for loops
trying
in
to
PHP.
get at the 0th index. I'll push or pop or what is it? Unshift or you use some method to get at it.
Unshift, isn't that destructive?
Yes.
No, don't ever do that, dude. You're going to totally regret that move.
Mutations
Immutable.
are fine. Mutations are no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Immutability, please. I don't want to mutate that was my problem with Ruby is there were so many different ways to mutate the current thing that I did it on accident a bunch, and I'm like, oh crap.
Well, just monkey patch a new way to do it and then
Exactly. Ruby is the best programming language if you don't need to show this code to anybody, because you can just monkey patch the core objects and have all very nice utilities for yourself, and just don't ever share that because no one's going to know how it's working, but it's very malleable and makes writing stuff very enjoyable as long as it's not to be collaborated on.
everything's just in method missing, right?
Well, you can definitely do that too. Yeah.
But I think Nick is right about Lua, at least. I've written a fair amount of Lua and have never worried about that. I don't worry about the index.
How about the 1 index?
No, it doesn't.
You never do a for loop and then you had to start with 1.
No, I don't use a for loop.
They have
Okay.
some I can't think of the syntax off the top of my head, but there's some method or some language construct to just loop through everything without me having to explicitly get access to the nth index of the object or of the table to get at something. It'll just give me, an iterator
Sure.
to go through it.
So you're saying it's inconsequential.
Yes.
And I'm saying, why'd they do it then? What's the point? Why don't you just conform to the other languages, man?
That's true, I guess.
I've heard great things about Lua. Never written any Lua. I just like to make fun of it because of that. But I
came over to it because of NeoVim, and I really like it for that. And now I use it for a bunch of other things. I started looking.
Is it configuring NeoVim or is it extending it?
Configuring it. Yep.
So you probably don't do very much looping there. Anyways.
I do actually.
What would you loop over in your config?
I have
all your plugins.
60 something plugins, yeah.
Yeah, for each plugin, uninstall it.
But then it's looping through things looping through the set of language servers that I want to set up and doing specific things for specific ones or, things like that.
So it's like an array, and the array is only just TypeScript, and it just loops over it. It's like sets up the TypeScript server, and you're done.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. All right, fair enough. Moving on, now that we've covered languages that aren't web development languages, although I'm sure you can run all those languages in a web browser via WASM or some other technique. Transpilation, of course. We don't have to do that. We have pretty good languages in our browsers now.
Actually, I was trying to remember about that Lua stuff, and then I remembered, I stopped using Lua because I kind of hated it. And what I ended up doing instead was using this thing called MoonScript, which is like CoffeeScript for Lua.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you were drinking it.
Yeah.
You were putting some
MoonScript.
additional stuff in your Lua. MoonScript, huh?
MoonScript.
And you hated MoonScript, or you hated Lua, so you went for MoonScript?
I didn't like Lua. It's a little too, I don't know. They don't use like many sigils. You know what I mean? They don't use like curlies or braces so much. It can be kind of verbose. I got sick of typing function, essentially.
The word function?
The word function. And so MoonScript stops that from happening. MoonScript.
I still write out the word function when I'm writing JavaScript.
My mouth is agape right now.
It is a gape.
For our listeners.
It's just, I'm old, and I've been writing function for 20 years. I'm just going to keep writing it. Now, there are times where I need the facilities of the fat arrow, and so I'll use that function style, like the closures and stuff. But I just write function.
So in Lua, it looks like 4 key comma value in something or other, and that's your iterator.
4 key comma value, and that key starts with 1.
Yeah.
Well, are you iterating over a hash
Well,
there?
you don't need to use.
It's all tables.
It's all tables.
Okay.
It always has been.
I'm looking at this MoonScript, and this is way more significant white space.
You must like significant white space, Chris.
But it has like arrow functions, so I was like more comfortable.
What were you writing this for?
Oh God, satisfactory plugins.
What's satisfactory plugins? Were like good enough?
Like mods, like it's like plugins for a satisfactory mod, written in their Lua, but I use MoonScript. Anyway, and I've written stuff for like computer.
Nick, do you know what satisfactory is, and I'm ignorant, or are we both in the dark here? What's satisfactory, Chris?
Satisfactory is a factory building game, like Factorio, and you automate things. But there's a modding scene, of course, and it gets all complex if you like that sort of thing.
Yeah, Lua really has its niche in like embeddable game stuff.
Yeah, and I've written Lua stuff for ComputerCraft or Open Computers and Minecraft as well.
Minecraft scripting API nowadays, JavaScript, baby. It's all JavaScript. I know that because I just interviewed it's both written in JavaScript and you can use JavaScript. Of course, there's other languages as well.
Wait, what?
The Minecraft API, the scripting API.
Minecraft?
Minecraft. You know the game Minecraft? Is that what you said? Minecraft.
That's what I was talking about, Minecraft.
It's all JavaScript now.
What are you talking about?
Minecraft. The scripting API.
Okay, Minecraft is written in Java, and it's also rewritten in C++, right?
100%. The Minecraft scripting API, like all the modding stuff that you can do inside of Minecraft, is JavaScript.
Oh, right.
I just interviewed the 2 guys that run the show over there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like
and you can use JavaScript.
Forged. It's not no. You can use JavaScript to write Minecraft mods, but some people do, some people don't.
100%. I'm just saying you don't need to use Lua anymore, or MoonScript.
Well, you do if you want to write programs for ComputerCraft.
I'm talking about Minecraft.
ComputerCraft is a Minecraft mod written in. I don't care because it doesn't matter to me. But it provides like an operating system, and all the code you write is Lua.
Okay.
That's what that.
And that's the kind of Minecraft scripting you like to do is ComputerCraft. So is this you install Minecraft and then you mod it with ComputerCraft and then you mod ComputerCraft with Lua?
Yes.
Okay.
But to solve all of your problems, there is a TypeScript to Lua compiler.
Bam. Nick wins again.
And maybe somebody's written some Lua for ComputerCraft that like you can write JavaScript to write computer craft code. Probably somebody has done this. If a TypeScript to Lua converter exists, then certainly it's possible. And I didn't know that, and so now I'm going to go back to my Moon script and rewrite it in TypeScript.
Bam.
I support this.
So Nick really just made your days. I mean, this made it all worthwhile for you to show up for this particular show, because now you can just ditch Moon script forever.
I feel like everybody's ditched Moon script, including the author.
I've never heard of Moon script, but I'm looking at the syntax, and I like significant white space. This looks like a nice little language.
You would.
Yeah, it's just kind of like CoffeeScript.
Yeah, and I liked CoffeeScript as well. I thought it was very energizing.
Okay, party people, this one's for you. I've got just 30 seconds to tell you about Wix Studio, the web platform for freelancers, agencies, and enterprises. So here are a few things you can do in 30 seconds or less on Studio. Number 1, integrate, extend, and write custom scripts in a VS Code-based IDE. 2, leverage zero setup dev, test, and production environments. 3, ship faster with an AI code assistant. And 4, work with Wix headless APIs on any tech stack. Wix Studio is for devs who build websites, sell apps, go headless, or manage clients. Well, my time is up, but the list keeps going on. Step into Wix Studio and see for yourself. Go to wix.com/studio. Once again, wix.com/studio.
Okay, let's talk more Node. Chris, you had thoughts on
All right.
Node's test runner. Please open up this conversation.
So it's when this was announced, I was like, this is a bad idea, because
What's the idea?
the idea of Node putting a test runner in itself. I, having experience maintaining a test runner, there's all these edge cases and terrible things, and it's not the easiest egg to crack, right? And so I was kind of concerned about the maintenance burden, and I don't know if that's ever going to be a problem or not. Certainly, the people who know what those edge cases are, if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be those who work on Node Core, and so I think they're well suited to handling some of those things. But I picked it up recently to write some tests instead of Mocha, and I was happy with it. It's it's not so restrictive in that with some test runners, they don't give you test suites. You only get tests, and they don't give you, they discourage hooks or whatever, but you get all that stuff in Node's test runner, and that was really all I needed. And so it works great. Works great with I haven't tried the new TypeScript stripping thing with it, but like if you use something like TSX, no problem. You can combine it with a like C8 or something to get your coverage, much like Mocha. It doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles. However, Node, I think 2020 or 22, I think it arrived in 18. I may be wrong. Anyway, it was either 20 or 22, added some mocks and spies and stuff. There's like a mocking API now, and that works pretty well. And that was one of the things that was kind of missing. And so, I'm happy with that.
That's just like
in Node
native. Wow.
Yeah. There's like a whole mocking API now.
Does it work with ESM in like being able to mock like other modules? Like that was one thing that Node that I was wondering. Like, it's been so long. I'm trying to like remember, but there was. Do you know what I'm
gonna say no.
Okay,
but it's actually pretty easy to do that nowadays. You can register a loader on the fly and have it do those things.
Okay.
So it's a different separate system, but yeah, you can do that sort of thing. I haven't needed to yet, and I can report back if I ever do, which I'm sure I will eventually. But yeah, the mocking stuff works great. Assert is still assert, which is not super, but there are other assertion libraries out there too. And Yeah, I'm pleased with it. I'm happy it's there. The more adoption it gets, the more terrible things that people are going to try to do with it. And so who knows? Who knows if that's going to become an issue later? But for now, I'm really happy with it. It works great. And kudos to Colin and the rest who have been working on it. I think Raphael or something too. But yeah, happy with that. Node's test runner.
Cool. Related discussion that we got K-Ball's opinion on recently, and I love your opinion, Chris, kind of going up a level. What belongs in Node and what doesn't? Like, what is your particular opinion on shoving a bunch of stuff into Node versus keeping that relatively slim and allowing third-party developers to innovate, etc.? Like, do you have strong opinions one way or the other on where things belong inside of something like Node?
I know what goes too far. Like, the Python standard library had something like an iTunes module built into it, and that goes too far, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not like a small core advocate necessarily. I'm an advocate for whatever people commonly do that it would make sense to do out of the box. And over the past couple of years, I think that sentiment is kind of become more popular, and we've seen additions of things that the team 5 years ago wouldn't have considered adding.
Right.
And so I'm happy with the direction, and yeah, I think it's good. I think there's globbing in the core now. So
yeah,
yay, so the stuff like that.
Gotta have globbing. I say that seriously.
Yeah.
I'm generally the same. Like, I've probably been tracking Node's progress more in the last 2 years than ever in my life. And generally, like, almost all the decisions I see them making, I'm like, yeah, good decision. Like, I feel like they're making sound choices, and I feel like it's really like steady progress over the last 18, 24 months. So I tend to agree with you.
Yeah. And, and maybe some of that has to do with competition from Dino and Bon. But regardless, they're doing a good job. So.
Yeah. By the way, Dino 2 right around the corner, and Ryan Dahl right around the corner on JS Party as well. We'll be getting him back on around the launch of Dino 2, which I think is September, late September. Anyways, let's close up. Unless, Nick, did you have anything to say about Node Test Runner or anything that Chris just said?
So this was written from scratch. I'm just curious, like, you have experience with Mocha, obviously. Like, would there have ever been precedent to just like slurp up something like Mocha and make it a first class thing?
No, it was from scratch, and I think nothing really fulfilled the requirements, I think, that they wanted. It was either like too much or not enough, or it was...
Mocha was too much?
Or it was janky.
Too janky.
Yeah. So, it makes sense to, it would not make sense to pull a Mocha into core now because, you don't want to do that. But there are, it wouldn't necessarily make sense to pull, I don't know, most of the test runners nowadays are going to have all those bells and whistles and out of the box, and no test runner doesn't have those things, and similarly to Mocha. So yeah, they did write it. I don't think anything out there was suitable to pull in. Just speaking from speculation, my opinion.
Yeah,
sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Like you said, things like this, especially when I want to do like something quick and one-off, having to like, I don't know, there's just like a mental barrier to having to add something else and then configure that and then go. Whereas like if it's just built in, it's like, oh, there's no barrier. I can just write my tests in this case, or glob. I can glob without having to jump through a bunch of hoops for that. That's really
no
nice.
Config file. No config file.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. Very, very nice. Well, let's finish up this episode on a musical note. One thing I've always loved is the cross-section of software development and culture, whether it's music, movies, video games, art. We featured all kinds of things over the years on our shows. Maybe you recall Nested Loops, a JavaScript band from back in the day that would rap over JS-generated beats, and we had them on the show and featured some of their music. Of course, I've done features of Standard Out the Rapper, who's a software development rapper, probably the only one on earth who has some actually really good music. And most recently, I found out about the TC39 song. This comes by way of Bruce Lawson, who works at the Vivaldi browser, which, Chris, you're rocking Vivaldi today, huh?
Yeah.
Are you a fan of this browser?
Yes, good browser.
What do you like about it?
It has some fancy things, and it's not like, it doesn't slurp data like Chrome, and yeah, I like it.
Very cool. So yeah, Bone Skull's endorsement of Vivaldi. Bruce works there, and he recently traveled to Amsterdam earlier this summer to help MC JS Nation conference out there. And he says on his blog, naturally, the open ceremony required a JS pop group, which is a subgenre of K-pop, which is a subgenre of pop. And they did apparently a carefully choreographed dance routine, and they lip-synced a song. He's got some pictures on his blog post, which we'll link up as well. But they have an original song that he wrote.
Can we hear the song?
Yes. Is that too much setup for you?
Yes.
Gosh, you're a curmudgeon. All right, here's the song by Bruce Lawson, TC39 song. Chris.
I get so excited writing JavaScript. I'm pretty easy going, but now I use strict. When I first began, I was in callback hell. Then I met you, and now it all goes well. I love you when my tests pass. Meet me in the moonlight and extend my class. You always keep your promises from the start. Now you shot your fat arrow straight to my heart. Oh, TC39, I'm so glad you're mine. Say you will be with me till the end of time. Oh, TC39, you're so sublime. Your specs are the best, my TC39.
All right, so shout out to Bruce. There you have it. Check out Vivaldi. Check out brucelawson.co.uk. We'll link it up. And let them know if you like the TC39 song. All right, that is our show for today. Any final words, Chris?
No.
Nick? I feel like this is becoming a new routine you do. I'm not sure if we need to put you on the spot and then you crumble. That's kind of our thing recently.
It's very easy.
Yeah, it is easy for you. It's easy for me as well. All right, thanks for hanging out. On behalf of Nick Nisi and Christopher Bone Skull Hiller and JS Party, I'm Jerod, and we will talk to you all next week. Thanks for listening to JS Party. We love that you choose to spend time with us each week. If you want some free stickers, now's your time to act. During the month of September, I'm trading changelog sticker packs for thoughtful 5-star reviews or blog posts about the pod. Write something nice, screenshot it or it didn't happen, and send it to Jerod@changelog.com. That's Jerod @changelog.com with your mailing address. What are you waiting for? An engraved invitation? Next up on the pod, K-Bolt and myself sit down with Chris Shank to explore how tools can help us learn, create, and think better. Stay tuned for that, but first, another thank you to our sponsors, Wix and Fly.io, to our Beat Freakin' residents, Breakmaster Cylinder, and to Sentry. Use code CHANGELOG for $100 off the team plan on sign up. That is all for now, but come back and party with us again next week.